We are recording and live.
All right.
Live now. We're live. We will start in approximately 1 minute.
Oh, yeah.
Send later. All right.
There we go. Do the sent.
Sent? Yep.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We are live. Talk therapy. That's truly what podcasts and Facebook Lives really are. And we're here to talk you through the Canucks' first loss of the first round to the St. Louis Blues as they were defeated 3-2 in overtime last night by the St. Louis Blues. Welcome to Canucks Breakfast as we recap the Canucks Game 3 loss. We'll get into that. You can follow us on Twitter, podcast_hockey. Of course, Facebook Live, facebook.com, the Hockey Podcast. We can see all of our live videos. Subscribe on YouTube as well, youtube.com, the Hockey Podcast, as well as on iTunes, Google, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. And we say good morning to Sean. How are you, Sean?
I'm a little tired, but I'm good. It was a later night than I was really hoping for, and unfortunately the wrong result.
Yes, and especially it was a long day with a Flames overtime, Canucks overtime, and then another game went in overtime. So fantastic hockey, but long game for sure. Long day too, and we'll and then get back right at it tonight. And then joining us from Canucks Army, Canucks Convo, Chris Faber has gotten his large cup of coffee to hop on with us. Good morning, Chris. I think you've gotten about as much sleep as I have. Thanks for coming on.
That's right, but I wonder if I have more coffee than you. We'll see how it goes through this 30 minutes here.
We'll see. Yes. Chris is taking some time out, so we'll get into that. We'll talk about that. Talk about a number of different things, but maybe we'll just quickly get Chris's impressions. Reading your Canucks Army stuff, I think you were kind of on the same page with Sean and I, but I just want to hear kind of what you felt about last night and kind of the series overall.
Yeah, I think it's been, the Canucks have really come out and won the special teams battle right now, but if you're seeing how much 5-on-5 play they're getting dominated in, it's it's tough to watch. I mean, I like to include a lot of these graphs that we find on Natural Stat Trick, and you kind of just see the Canucks' control of possession just dropping every single game. So last night might have been the biggest indication of that. I thought they were severely outplayed at 5-on-5, and I think that game was a little bit different because we only saw 4 penalties, I believe, in that game, 2 power plays for each team. So that made a huge difference because the Canucks didn't get 4 or 5 power plays like they've had in previous games where they were able to get 2 or 3 goals from it. So, the St. Louis Blues are a really good team at 5-on-5. There's nothing really bad you can say about this team. They're top to bottom. Their lines were great. The Ryan O'Reilly line was absolutely disgusting last night on Sunday night there. So it's been a tough ride for them at 5-on-5, and they're happy that the Lotto line found some success yesterday. I think that had to do with the line matchups. I didn't know if it was going to make a huge difference having home ice advantage and getting the last change, but I really think it did. I thought that Travis Green was able to get the Pettersson line away from the O'Reilly line a little bit, and that benefited them because they were pretty much the only line on the Vancouver Canucks last night that controlled possession in the offensive zone.
Yeah, it was nice to see the Lotto line get going 5-on-5 and even produce some points 5-on-5. The Canucks have not had that up until this point in both play-in series versus the Wild, and now through 2 games in the St. Louis series, but they got it in Game 3. Yeah, the 5-on-5 play is concerning. The Canucks need to find a way to control the forecheck a little bit. That's the big thing with the St. Louis is they've got such an aggressive forecheck, and especially with once the refs go into playoff mode with the whistles, the St. Louis players are allowed to take blue line in runs at the defense for forechecks, and it's starting to wear the Canucks defenseman down, unfortunately, and they desperately missed Tyler Myers last night. I think as good as Jordy Ben playing, he played really well. They do miss Tyler Myers and his puck moving ability. Yesterday, Canucks Twitter was all abuzz about who would actually slide in. A lot of people were hoping Levy or Rafferty, but it just the right call was Jordy Ben. But that doesn't mean that they have enough puck moving ability up on the blue line right now.
Yeah. By the way, shout out Derek Winter is a first-time viewer of our Facebook Lives. Thanks for joining us. Says Bo Canucks. So shout out to him. Yeah, so I guess, Chris, Sean and I have been talking about this. I think we were expressing concern about 5-on-play as early as Game 1 when it was 5-2. The stat that I was going to go through third period shots, and I think third periods in particular is one issue. But the other issue is a stat that Jeff Patterson pointed out this morning. I don't know if you had a chance to hear it, but when Ryan O'Reilly is on the ice, shots are 45-7 favoring the Blues.
Yeah, it's that Ryan O'Reilly line is absolutely insane. And like I mentioned, Berube played the wheels off of him last game. 17 minutes that line was together at 5-on-5. And then you look at the shots for 18 shots for, 5 shots against at 5-on-5. I mean, that line, it stepped up a little bit more because I think in the past couple of games, we saw the Tarasenko with Shen line, and they were playing quite a bit. Like, they were playing pretty similar numbers almost to the Ryan O'Reilly line. But last night, there was something about that line. And I feel like they're not really getting to the net, I think, with a lot of scoring chances that are actually high danger areas. But that Ryan O'Reilly line seems to just control the puck in the offensive zone so much that it limits all the other lines that are going up against it. But, honestly, that line hasn't scared me yet at 5-on-5 that they're going to score. It's just scared me that they're limiting every single line for the Vancouver Canucks when they're on the ice.
I think yesterday, I mean, I have to admit I didn't pay too much super attention to it, but something that caught my eye a little bit was the amount of domination that fourth line, the McEachran line, was hemming in the Canucks as well. And I would be curious to rechart. I'll have to find a way if I could rechart how much it was McEachran then O'Reilly and how that helped that line, because I really think the fourth line of the Blues last night was one of the factors as why that O'Reilly line was dominant.
Well,
I think that line. Sorry, go ahead, Sean.
Yeah, no worries. It was. I think a lot of it is just they play very similar physical styles, and that's just the Blues. Period. Play a very, very physical style. Braden Shen is running all over the place, taking 20, 30-foot, 40-foot runs at anyone and everyone. David Perron, doesn't matter if there's 0 seconds left in the period, he was still taking his shots. The St. Louis Blues know how physical you have to play to be successful in playoff hockey. And one thing I did think about watching the game last night was this is a perfect example of a game of what the Canucks haven't really seen in regular season. Didn't really see this in the Wild series either. Even games 1 and 2 weren't as physical as it was this in Game 3. And you need to learn how to battle through that. So all the fans who were sort of kind of mocking or questioning the thought process of you need to get into the playoffs and learn how to win in the playoffs, this is exactly why people are saying that. Does it take 1 or 2 games, or does it take a season? Does it take 2 seasons? I don't know, but that game is a perfect example of what a physical playoff game can look like. And players like Quinn Hughes, who even got hit last night, Pettersson's continuing to take a lot of beatings. Bo Horvat's was struggling a little bit last night comparatively to how well he's played throughout the playoffs. Like, they all need to figure out how to take their games to the next level now that they know what the physical games look like.
Yeah, I agree with that statement pretty much to the exact point. I mean, I think that what I was expecting from Game 2 actually was that the Blues were going to play the game like they did on Game 3. I mean, you mentioned it, Sean, like right off the bat, Game 3, they come out, and that's probably the biggest hit Quinn Hughes has ever taken in his career, right? That was a big hit from Brayden Schenn, and you're right. Like, he had him lined up for about 40 feet, and he was saying, like, I'm 100,000% hitting Quinn Hughes as hard as I can on this play. And he did. Like, he got a piece of him. I thought the Blues were going to go to that in Game 2, but they obviously did in Game 3, and it worked for them because look at what they did last year in the playoffs. They wore down every single team that they played against because of that forecheck. They ruined defense scores as they went through them. And I think that was the biggest worry for me because Quinn Hughes didn't have a great regular season against the St. Louis Blues because the start of the year, the Blues were kind of playing that similar game, right? They were saying, like, oh, we're just riding the exact same thing we did in the playoffs. And that's when they had the 2 early games against the St. Louis Blues and Vancouver Canucks. And Quinn Hughes was still a young player, and I thought that, they were limiting him with that forecheck. So Quinn Hughes was great, though. I mean, like, he learned right off that. I love the smile that you saw on that kid's face when they showed him on the bench right after taking the biggest hit of his career, and he's laughing about it. Like, that might have been the biggest smile I've seen on Quinn Hughes' face possibly in his whole career. So I thought that was great for him to bounce back. They landed a couple big shots on on Chris Tanev, actually. And I just think that, yeah, they're going to bring that forecheck, and obviously it worked for them, so I would not be surprised to see them even take it to another level in Game 4. And having back-to-back games, the Canucks are going to have to be able to bounce back. And you mentioned it earlier there, Sean, just saying that, how long does it take for them to learn? I think that this team is going to bounce back pretty quickly and learn from their mistakes. They obviously did in the play-in series against Minnesota. And I think that this is a young core that's very smart. A lot of these guys that are going to be leading this team are very intelligent hockey players. Even looking at some of the veterans like a Brandon Sutter and Antoine Roussel, these are very smart hockey guys, right? I think they're able to work together as this group, and I wonder what the leaders are going to do because they're going to be the ones that have to bounce back. So I'm curious to see how Pettersson, how Miller, how Hughes, how they all look in this game, because if they learned anything from Game 3, I expect them to come out and have a really good Game 4 here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised either with that. I do think that their hockey IQ on this team is very high, and their willingness to just spend. I bet you right now, they're waking up, they're having some breakfast, and then they're going right to some video. Is my guess. I don't think we're going to see. I doubt they're going to have a pregame skate. But I bet you they're gonna spend a couple hours in video, looking over things and trying to figure out how they can break this forecheck, which is going to be huge. If they can even do it at 50% compared to what they did last night, that's going to make a big difference. Troy Stecher, I think, struggled immensely with that forecheck. He battled hard. He showed a lot of heart and was able to battle through a lot, but I think he really did struggle on understanding how to break that forecheck at times. He did make a couple of really good plays. I remember watching one where he managed to sidestep a forechecker and then make just a smart little pass up to a winger just up the boards a little bit. I can't remember who it was, but it wasn't a long pass. It wasn't like the blue line pass that Vandenberg had that one time. But it was just a nice, easy, smart pass. And I think that's one thing that I think gets lost in what a good puck mover does. It's something that what Chris Tanev does really well for 90% of the time. Even Quinn Hughes makes those passes most of the time. If you're just making smart, quick passes to your wingers and letting them do the work, that's actually just as good as making a long bomb pass or transporting the puck up the ice with your skating. So I think that's one thing I think we'll see is the more we'll see the Canucks forwards come back and support their defense a lot more in Game 4 here.
Yeah, it's interesting, and I think that's where, I mean, you already talked about it, but that's, I think, one of the big things we saw them missing in Tyler Myers. And I know that there's been some angst about Tyler Myers, and I get it. contracts, etc. But his size, his minutes, the fact that he's a minute muncher and he can absorb that Blues forecheck, just simply oversized over Troy Stecher, is just a big reason why he was missed. And yet, you know what I mean? There was a huge issue with him in penalties in the qualifying round against Minnesota, but he cleaned that up in the first game in a bit that he was in the lineup as the Blues, and it really did show this blue line without Tyler. Tyler Myers was missed last night.
Yeah, he totally was. And you saw that, Troy Stecher had to play a lot more minutes in this game. And the thing that I was really liking about Tyler Myers in this series pretty much was, he was doing better. He wasn't taking a lot of penalties like he was in the play-in series. So that was good news. But at the same time, I liked what Travis Green was starting to do. And you know what? I've been critical of Travis Green. I haven't thought he was the best coach with a lot of decisions over his time here in Vancouver. But I have to give him props because I thought he's come out and in defensive zone faceoffs, he's thrown out an extra center, whether it be a Jay Beagle or a JT Miller, depending on the lines that he's sending out. I like what he's doing with that. And the thing that I liked what he was doing with Tyler Myers was, even though Tyler Myers was playing with Oscar Fantenberg on that third pairing, there was times in the offensive zone. If the Lotto line was out there, he's throwing out Quinn Hughes with Tyler Myers. There's other certain situations where he would, use Tyler Myers alongside with Alex Edler at times. And he was kind of mixing up the defense core as the game was progressing and how he wanted to kind of match a defensive pairing, because Tyler Myers really changes that pairing. If you have Edler and Stecher and then you put Myers in there just for a shift, right? Just for one shift, maybe two shifts, you run him out there with Edler. It totally changes the dynamic of that duo. And it completely changes what Quinn Hughes and Chris Tanev do, right? Because they're not going to be the offensive dynamo. Though Chris Tanev, I tell you, he's looked pretty good at getting shots on net. It's been a pretty good series for him, I think, so far. But just, you're missing Tyler Myers big time. Like you guys mentioned early on, though, Jordy Ben looked strong in this game. Something about him on the right side, I don't know what it is, but he seems to just play a lot better over there. So I'm not too worried about that. I thought that, maybe Brogan Rafferty could have been an option. Maybe Jalen Chatfield could have been an option. But I knew in the end that Travis Green was going to go with the veteran. And though you miss Tyler Myers big time and that big body you're going to miss, I wasn't too let down from what Jordy Ben could do. The only thing I just mentioned there was, we are going to miss that ability to change the dynamic of other pairings that Tyler Myers brings.
Mm-hmm. And that's what's frustrating for me is I'm actually a big Jordy Ben fan, especially when he plays the right side. I like what he can bring. I like his toughness. He's one of those defensemen. Vandenberg's the same way. They're both built the same way, where they're defensemen that goaltenders love because they clear the net, and they find a way to do that. Was it Roberto Luongo talking about Eric Goodbranson when they traded him to Vancouver, and he was upset that he lost him? Yes, sometimes those players get overvalued, and the assets you're giving up for those players is too much, but they're still valuable players in the roster. And yeah, I think both Fantenberg and Ben played solid games, and Fantenberg had that one just crushing hit that was beautiful. I love that one hit. I can't remember who it was on, but I think it was on Pietrangelo, honestly. It was a Blues defenseman.
To it, yeah, like a shot block into a massive hit. That was a great little play there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I think as a third pair, they played great. But yeah, as you said, they're Chris, that what they're going to miss is being able to mix and match, and I think that's one of the strengths that Travis Green's shown over these playoffs, especially games 1 through 3 of the Blues series, is his willingness to mix and match, throw Tyler Myers out with Quinn Hughes, with Alex Edler, and find ways to use the players to their strengths, and throwing extra centers out for defensive draws, throwing out double shifting Bo Horvat when he's going, double shifting Pettersson when he's going. Seeing the way Travis Green has coached through these playoffs is really, I really hope it shows people that he knows what all the doubters, that he is a really good coach and knows what he's doing. And I think we review the Flames games, and we talked about one of the things that the Flames don't do very well is to pay attention to the details and understand how the small things can lead to the big things, and they lose that focus, and then next thing you know, it's in the back of their net. The Canucks are still learning that, but that's one of the biggest things that Travis Green tries to teach these guys is if you pay attention to the details, you pay attention to little things, the big things will come. So for me, that shows a good coach. For me, when I see Brock Besser doesn't have a shot on net in 3 games, yet he's got 4 assists and is still playing very well, I'm not worried.
Yeah. If I could just add one thing to that too, I think that what you bring up there with Travis Green is interesting because, you know, he was aware of like the positions that they were in when he was making some of those changes, whether it's the extra center or moving out Tyler Myers and Quinn Hughes. But I think it could have been very, like, even more helpful having last change, right? Because we saw him do it in the first 2 games. Even without last change, he was just going to put them out because of the positional awareness of where they were on the ice. But now with the last change, you know, you have the option to say, oh, maybe they have like a lesser line out there. Maybe that's when I put out my Quinn Hughes, my Tyler Myers line. So I think they're going to be missing that even more with the last change.
Yeah. Matchup wise, detail wise, and don't get me started on what Jeff Ward did in overtime. You watch the Flames recap. You can tell I let out my feelings very well on that. Just anyway. Instead, because we have Chris for a short time here, I want to kind of make a kind of big picture overview of the forwards instead of just necessarily focusing on someone specific, because we will get to someone specific. But Chris, do you see any lineup changes forward-wise for tonight's game? I.e., if a Tyler Toffoli is healthy, he's probably in. And I guess the big question would be, are you taking anybody out? Any adjustments that you see in terms of forward-wise?
Yeah, I think right now, like, man, last game, before this game 3, it was Jake Virtanen coming out of the lineup for sure for me. I thought Jake was all right. I thought he was better than Zach McEwen in this game 3. And, you know, Travis Green is the type of guy that it's not what have you done for me lately, it's what have you done for me last game, right? That's when he changes his lineup. And if Toffoli's ready to go, I think he needs to be in the lineup. I think he needs to be in on that third line. But the other thing was you saw Travis Green do this late in the game when his team needed some offense from the Horvat line. You saw guys like McEwen. You saw guys like Brock Besser get double shifted. So he was going away from Louis Eriksson on that line at 5-on-5. So I wonder if he goes to that and somewhat uses that line with Louis Eriksson in defensive situations, or if they have a lead. And then if they're trailing and they need some offense, maybe put Toffoli up on that line. But the latest I've heard on Toffoli is he's not that far away, right? It sounds like he's getting pretty close. I think Rick Dhaliwal tweeted that out just yesterday, saying that he was getting pretty close to playing. That could be huge. I don't really expect him to hop into game 4 here, but I think with another day off and then, you know, back at it on, Wednesday, I wouldn't be surprised if we can maybe see him there on Wednesday. If not, Friday could be huge, and then Sunday for game 6 and 7 if we get there. So Toffoli can be a huge addition, even if he just hops in on that third line. If it's for an Antoine Roussel, who played a very low amount of minutes, the lowest on the team in this past game, you know, maybe it is Roussel who hops on, and that line could have a little bit of offense if you have a Brennan Sutter at center, Jake Virtanen on the wing with Tyler Toffoli. So that's an option. But at the same time, if Jake didn't have that good game like I thought he had, not even a good game, I just thought he did something in game 3, which he really didn't do in the first 2 games. But for a while there, I was saying, you know, Adam Gaudette can bring a lot to this second power play unit. The second power play unit didn't score a goal all season long without Adam Gaudette. I love saying that stat because it made the second unit what it was, having Adam Gaudette there. So the second unit has looked pretty horrible throughout the playoffs completely, throughout this, because we haven't really seen Gaudette on that line. So, you know, if Toffoli comes in and he's on the second power play unit and Adam Gaudette comes in the lineup and comes on your second power play unit, that makes that second unit very strong after that. So I don't think we'll see any lineup changes unless Toffoli is healthy. But you know what? It wouldn't shock me to see Adam Gaudette hop into this lineup and maybe play some wing on that third line instead of Jake Virtanen. Maybe Virtanen goes down to the fourth line or something. And McEwen might come out. I thought McEwen's had a really good first 2 games. I thought he had times in this game where he was okay, but he also made a huge mistake on that Justin Falk goal. And there was a couple other little just things from McEwen where he didn't make a good pass. And you know what? He's a young guy who's coming into this league and not really a registered NHL player right now. But I do like his game. I don't think Green's gonna take him out right now. But if McEwen has a tough night tonight, I wouldn't be shocked to see Gaudette in game 5.
Yeah, my only issue about taking out McEwen or Virtanen right now is Blues is so big, so physical. You need that. You need the size and the physicality for the to punch back with the Canucks, and both those players when they're on can do that. That's my only worry about that. Despite the Canucks, I do think the Canucks need Adam Gaudette's offensive punch or Tyler Toffoli's offensive punch. So I wonder if it is Louis Eriksson that comes out. I think McEwen stays and Virtanen stays because of the physicality. And if they want to bring in some more offensive punch, I wonder if it is Louis Eriksson that goes out and they just mix and match to find that to play have a line that they can throw out there in defensive and again defensive situations. But that would be my guess is whether or not Louis Eriksson is starting to they need to give him a bit of a rest and bring in someone with some fresh legs in Adam Gaudette or Tyler Toffoli.
Yeah, I don't know if they would go away from Louis. I think Green's liked what Louis has been able to do, and though it's hard to see it, right? Like yesterday, I was 100% trying to pay attention and be like, okay, what is it that Louis Eriksson's doing? And like, I literally can't see anything that he's doing that's like making him be good. But there's something about him just being able to get the puck just past your own defensive blue line, right? Like just get it out of the blue line so the team needs to reset offensively. I thought that Game 3 was his worst game at keeping the cycle going, because I thought he was doing pretty good in games 1 and 2 for that. But he doesn't bring any offense to this game, right? It's Louis being Louis. He's going to do little things. He took a bad high-sticking penalty late in the game. That scared the living hell out of me. But I don't know. There's something about him. I think he's playing better hockey. Like, he's getting shots on net. He doesn't have stat lines that are just zeros across the board. And I think that, the Canucks played their best hockey this year when that line was together. That big win streak where they had 14 wins in 17 games, I believe it was. That was with the Louis Eriksson line playing with Horvat and Pearson and that top line of the Lotto line together. So I don't know. Maybe it's this jersey here that's getting me a little crazy, boys, but I'm sticking with Louis all the way through. Can't see it. There it is.
There it is.
I'm rolling with Louis, boys. Taking them all the way here. So
I tweeted last night, can you imagine if Louis Eriksson scored in overtime and he had a chance to do it? I just could not imagine what Canucks Twitter would have been like. That would have been, wow. That would have been something. But Chris, before you take off, is there anything you want to touch on in the game here? Or?
No, I think if the last thing I'll mention is the goaltending. I don't think they're going to go away from Markstrom. This game's too important now with a 2-1 lead in the series. If it was 3-0, I think we could be talking about maybe seeing Demko. I just want to say that anyone out there thinking it's Demko, I don't think you're right here at all. Putting in a cold goalie at this point in the game is not a great timing for that. But no, aside from that, keep an eye out for some Canucks Army stuff coming up. I'm about to work on a mailbag here pretty soon and put that out for you guys. I got a lot of questions last night. I completely forgot to put out my tweet for that, but work on that right now and have that up before noon. And aside from that, 2 episodes a week for Canucks Convo. Check that out as well.
All right. Yes. Canucks Convo, Canucks Army. Chris is working 25 hours a day, 8 days a week right now. So Chris and David and all those guys are doing a great job. So keep an eye out.
The big problem right now is Dave's on vacation. So I'm pulling all the weight now. I'm doing mailbags. I'm editing articles. It's an absolute mess for me. Dave just leaves me for 10 straight days to go on vacation with like the craziest, the most like content needed time right now for Canucks fans. Dave leaves me to go on vacation. The guy barely works at all.
I'm clipping this, by the way. I'm clipping ghosts. This is coming out as an extra edit. All right, man. Well, thanks for taking some time for us here. We will have you on again very soon.
Absolutely, boys. You guys have a good rest of the show.
You too. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Chris.
Chris Faber, Canucks Army, Canucks Convo, 25-8. That's how you do that. Okay. I guess my last thing that I really wanted to get into is, Chris is right that it is a ridiculous take to say that Demko will start tonight. I understand that people thinking that it is back-to-back. It's pretty obvious you are going with Markstrom, but I do think that there's a thought process around there, isn't there?
There is, and what it is I said, like they're waking up, they're probably having some breakfast, and then heading to the video room, doing some stretches and getting warmed up to build up towards the 8:30, 8:45 start tonight. One of the big ones that Travis Green and I'll throw Ian Clark in there as well is that they have to have a good discussion with Jacob Markstrom and find out where he's at physically, mentally, and all that, and see if indeed he is maybe too fatigued or not feeling it or whatever, and just know that they've got a good backup in Demko who can slide in there if needed. That being said, the way Markstrom played last night, the way he's played all series, I don't think there's a question. You have unless you feel that Markstrom is way too fatigued and you can't and going tonight is Demko at 100% is better than Markstrom at like 75, 70%. If that's where he's at, that's where you have to make that decision. But like I said, with the way that Markstrom's played all series, he's been dialed in. Like the goals that beat him last night, you have the Justin Falk goal, which is a blow coverage by Zach McEwen. Hart, nothing much he could do there. Then two absolute snipes. That shot from David Perron was absolutely perfect. Like, I hate the guy. Like, he's right up there in the hate meter for all Canucks fans because he's an absolute prick on the ice. But that shot was perfect. Like, I remember seeing, I think it was Andy Cole from producer at TSN 1040 saying, "Oh, Markey." I'm like, no, you can't blame Markey for that one. That was just an absolute perfect shot because Markey played that perfectly. He had to come and seal the post off. Perron saw it, went and absolutely put it just the only spot he could to make it so that Markstrom couldn't save that. Like, absolute perfect. Luckily for the Canucks, Pettersson came back with an equally as good, if not better, short side snipe shot on Jake Allen. But when you look at that, and then the Braden Shen breakaway, perfect shot, top corner. Like, again, it's not much he can do. Markey's on, you ride him. It's as simple as that. Unless he tells you my legs are shot. Like, I can't go anymore. I need a rest. You ride him, and then you just play better in front of him.
And especially if you get up 3-1 tonight, you're not the Demko conversation in this round. You don't do it. This is, and we also talked about on the Flames recap about the terms killer instinct. If you're up 3-1 on the Stanley Cup champs, you got to put them away as quick as possible. You don't give them any life. You keep them on the ropes, and you got to knock them out, because if you give them any life, they'll come back. They know how.
There was even talk that if the Canucks had managed to win last night, like maybe at 3-0, you throw Demko on. Like, no.
Nope.
No, you go with Markey again because you get killer instinct. If you can find a way to put the Blues away in short order, you have some rest ahead of you. You can rest Markstrom, and that's the big deal here. Is you go with them and you ride them and say, look, let's win the next 2 games.
Yeah,
and then we can rest. That's when you rest, is after the next 2 games.
Yeah. Because your next round, whatever it is that's, we talked about the video game and the next level. We're going that's next level. So if you can put them away and you get that rest, that'll be huge in your next round, whoever you're playing. And I'm not saying that they won the series. It's just you're thinking ahead, right? Thinking ahead.
Well, you have to just say, like, well, you have to think of the now, but you also have to look at and say, okay, look here, let's say we win the next 2 games, we can get the rest. Let's plan for that, and if not, then you're still riding Markey. Game every couple of days, he should be good.
Yeah, for sure. Anything else with this game that you want to get into?
Let's see here. Trying to rack my brain on this. And I said again. Let's repeat a couple things. Again, it's nice to see the Pettersson, the Lotto line start to get some 5-on-5 success, and I want to see more of that. They need to see more of that, and they need to find a way to control the O'Reilly line. I don't know what that is, and that's why I think they might. Is it time that you rethink Louis Eriksson on that second line? Is it time that you throw someone a little more offensive on that second line? Maybe it is Adam Gaudette. Maybe it is Jake Virtanen. Someone who can help drive more offense because if I pull up the matchups on Natural Stat Trick, you can see who played against who the most. And I believe it was the Horvat line who got the O'Reilly matchup more often than not.
Beagle got a lot of matchup time with him too.
Yeah, and that's the other issue is you're giving up that. Let's see here. Sorry, the Horvat got the Braden Shen line more often than not. But you need to find a way to keep that, to do something and match up against the O'Reilly line a little bit better. And the Canucks can find a way to start creating offense when O'Reilly's on the ice, or at least not have him in the offensive zone, and giving Markstrom a little bit more of a rest and not having him constantly moving back and forth. Because even though they're not necessarily creating high danger opportunities, and despite the shot attempts skewing significantly towards the St. Louis's side of things, throughout the game, they actually, like, when Vancouver was keeping it kind of close in terms of shot attempts, they were giving up the middle of the ice and giving up more high danger opportunities based off of what I saw on the heat map. And then I kept watching it throughout the game, and the middle of the ice didn't necessarily grow bigger or darker, and they actually started spreading it around the points again. So, and on the perimeter of the zone. And if they can do that a little bit more, and then somehow find a way to break down this O'Reilly line, that'll be big for the Canucks' success tonight.
Yeah. You mean, we talk about motivation with Jake, and I have Jake in my background here. It's Jake Virtanen's birthday. Happy birthday to Jake Virtanen, but that could be a motivation. It's your birthday, make a statement kind of thing. That's a possibility. Maybe as well that we see Jake take a mini step. That would be really huge if that happened.
Yeah, it would be, like I said, let's hope for some birthday shotguns for everyone for Jake Virtanen's birthday. Like, that would be fantastic. Let's really hope for that. That would be a huge thing. The one thing with the Canucks is they really haven't had a game where the bottom six has taken over it and won it for them.
Yeah,
they had like the one game where they had the Roussel goal, but for the most part, this has been a show of the stars, show of their top end players, the Petterssons, the Horvats, the Millers, the Pearsons, even the Besser. Besser's had a game where he kind of took over at one point, and he's still playing well. I'll still be adamant that, like, there's I was getting really frustrated with Chris Cuthbert, who kept bringing up no shots for Brock Besser. And yes, we want Besser to shoot more, but for the most part, I think he's playing well. With Pettersson being more of the shooter and the more dangerous shooter on that line, he's been playing a little bit more of a grinder playmaker role and been playing more of a net front presence role. And he's actually thriving on it, in my opinion. He had a couple really good opportunities. He nearly missed a deflection in last night as well. He's getting his opportunities, and the goals are going to come. Do not worry about Brock Besser. His game is on. Do not worry about him.
Yeah.
And then in terms of defense, sorry, Kev, like I said, unless Myers is ready to go, you go with the same crew. But you make sure that the forwards know that they have to support him.
Yeah.
We talked about just let me finish. I'm on a roll. We were talking about how Dallas is able to turn the Brody and Giordano pairing around and beat them on the forecheck. That's what the Blues have been doing with Stetcher specifically. So support the defense, give them easy outlet passes that they can get, so that they don't have to worry about turning around, making a play while having the super aggressive St. Louis forecheck right in on them.
Yeah. I'm giving you an extra second.
No, I'm good. I'm done now. I've done my whole thing.
I'm just making sure. The only thing I was thinking too is I wonder if we see a little bit more, not a lot, but I could see a little bit more Ben Edler tonight to offset what Stetcher can do a bit. I wonder if that is an adjustment we see tonight, a little bit more.
Maybe. I don't mind that, actually. I think that could be a decent pairing if you're looking at defensive zone situations. The issue is just that the lack of game-breaking puck movers outside of Quinn Hughes are just good, solid puck move, like people that you can rely on to get the puck out better. Like Tannen's okay, the Tannen's solid, Edler's solid, Hughes is spectacular. Fantenberg and Ben are average at best, and you just need one more solid. And that's what Tyler Myers was.
Yep.
And yeah, I said they miss him, and hopefully he's back by Game 5, and hopefully Toffoli's back by Game 5 because I think they need more offensive punch down the lineup. And if they decide to keep Louis Eriksson in and throw Toffoli on the third line, or if they try to pull Eriksson off and put Toffoli in on the second line, they need some more pop in the lineup. And that's where Gaudette comes in. I think they still go with the same lineup, but I wouldn't be surprised if Gaudette's in if Toffoli can't go, and I don't think he's quite ready yet.
Yeah. We'll look for that. Okay, just quickly, this broke as we're talking. I know that we're both CFL fans. Take a few minutes. I know this is the hockey podcast, but this is a Canadian thing. The CFL has officially canceled the 2020 season. Of course, we could not get started due to COVID-19. There was talk of starting in September. The CFL went to the federal government, and the federal government turned down their approval for a loan. And there was talk that they were going to go with the hub city concept in Winnipeg and they have a 6-game season. That's all done. The CFL is canceled, back for 2021. I'm actually, to be honest, on my end, I'm not super surprised, but I am a little saddened that we're not seeing CFL football this year.
I'm sad, but I'm not surprised. This isn't something that our current federal government likes throwing money at. It's not their cup of tea, unfortunately, and we're just in a shitty situation with that. Hopefully things can come back and we can come back to have some good CFL football next summer and go from there. But it's an unfortunate situation where they're you don't know what's going on, and unfortunately they're probably in a very similar situation to a lot of the CHL and all their teams in terms of you can't really play without fans because it's not cost effective at all.
Yeah.
And they don't have the money to suck it up, or the sponsorships and the TV deals to make up for it.
Yeah, and if you're following anyone on Twitter, follow Ben Dooley, as he has expressed, and we had Brian Weeb on in terms of interviewing him. Check that out about the BCHL, and sort of this does have a trickle-down effect to lower levels of hockey because they do need fans in the stands to continue in a viable way. So this does affect. So check that out. But I did want to kind of quickly touch on that before we go. Not spend a whole heck of a lot of time on it. I don't know really at this point what else to say. I haven't had a chance to read things. So, but we do have that. But in terms of hockey, we will be back tomorrow morning to recap Game 4, Canucks Blues. Isha Yarami is scheduled to join us from the Soda Pod. He's going to jump on with us and chat with us. And then we will be back tomorrow afternoon as well to recap Game 5, Flames Stars. That series is tied at 2. So that is a pivotal who's got the 3-2 lead. So that'll be a big game. So that will be Matt, Dan, Devin, and I, and Sean, I think, is scheduled for that. So 2 recaps.
I love talking hockey no matter what team. I'll be on if it allows me.
Yeah. Okay. You're yeah. Okay. And then maybe we'll get the when we start recapping the Thompson Tigers.
Yeah, like, I love talking hockey. There's a reason I agreed to start doing a podcast and everything. I think a lot of my friends and family decided that it was good for me to have an outlet. But I love talking hockey. Doesn't matter what. I love watching hockey. This is why I'm here. So let's go. Let's talk more hockey.
Yeah. Also, just quickly, we did the Flames recap. We talked about beards. We'll be having on YouTube. We're going to be putting clip episodes up of things from different podcasts, so you'll be seeing things like that. Devin reacting to a Toronto Maple Leaf tweet is coming. We have our first blog post from Tyler Noble as he recapped the elimination round and kind of what he's seen. So we got lots going on at newhockeypodcast.com. Anything I missed?
Nope.
Okay. And how do we follow you?
I am BeardedCanucks03 on Twitter. And as we said when we talked beards, if you're growing one and you don't know why it's not looking as groomed or well kept as you would like, shoot me a message, shoot Devin a message at GordHow09. Both of us have been growing beards for way too long, despite Devin not even being 30 yet. Just give us a shout out. We'll give you some tips and ideas on how to control it and make it look good.
Right. And follow Heidi Amazeballs, Schneids, SCHNEIDZ, Tyler as at T Noble, I am KEVOLE, podcast_hockey. Subscribe on iTunes, Google, Spotify, our iHeartRadio, and YouTube, Facebook.com, the Hockey Podcast. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Thanks, everyone who's jumped on and been followers now to the Hockey Podcast. We really appreciate that. And we will talk to you all very soon. Bye for now. There. One shot. Good. Nope. And 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cracks to end that video.